Hi everyone. I think we're going to start. Probably some people will join in later. So Yves, Sébastien, Tarek and myself would like to welcome you to this very special Pitch Lab edition. Pitch Lab is one of the oldest club of INSEAD Alumni Association in France. And this 56th edition is special in many ways. First of all, we are honored to welcome the finalists of the last INSEAD Venture competition. For those who don't know it, the IVC is organized twice a year at INSEAD to select the best ventures of current students. The 40th edition took place a few days ago, and the 7 exceptional startups that we'll present today were selected as finalists out of a list of 70 projects total. We are really looking forward to listening to them. It is also special because for the first time we have joined forces with 2 other alumni associations, the association in Singapore and in Abu Dhabi, to make this edition a truly international one. Both associations are very active with strong links to the school, thanks to their proximity with the campuses. So a special welcome to all the alumni from those locations. We have actually moved the usual timing that is usually in the evening to lunchtime here in France in order to accommodate a maximum of you. Cynthia, Omar, would you like to share a word with us?
Thank you, Marion. I'll go pretty quickly given the exciting things that we have ahead of us. So I'm Cynthia Tavella, MBA 2007D and President of the INSEAD Alumni Association of Singapore. My great background, for those that can see it. I'm excited to be part of this first worldwide collaboration across some of the most iconic alumni associations that we have. As Marion said, we are very close to campus. We have a unique position. In Singapore, we have over 3,600 alumni based here. That's a huge community and an incredible network. And I'm also really encouraged by this next stage in the economy that we are getting into. I graduated in 2007 in the midst of the global financial crisis. And if there is a bright spot that I remember from those years post-graduation, is that those were the years that some of the best INSEAD startups came up. BlaBlaCar by one of my INSEAD classmates, Redmar in Singapore, TransferWise, they all came out of a period of crisis. So I can't wait to hear more about all of the exciting pitches that are to come. And also, I'm really thrilled to see the diversity of those teams that are presenting today. There's been a lot of discussion and controversy around the last few weeks' challenges in the world in terms of diversity. And I just wanted to point out again how important and unique the diversity and inclusion is for INSEAD, and it's in our DNA. So when I look at the number of faces from all over the world and the different backgrounds and ethnicities and everything that I can see on this screen, I'm excited to see how that's going to change the world going forward. So really excited to be in part of this today, and to, of course, welcome all of you as alumni very soon for those that are presenting today, and hope to see you in Singapore in person. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Omar, would you like to say a word?
Yeah, cool. I guess I'll jump in here. So first of all, big thank you to Yves, Marion, Seventh Thought for inviting us to attend. This is a great initiative, and certainly echo some of the thoughts that my colleague just mentioned. So my name is Omar Elisar. I'm an MBA 14D based in Dubai, where I'm part of the INSEAD Alumni Association's Executive Committee. More specifically, I co-direct the Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and Technology Club here in the UAE. For those who aren't familiar with the EIT Club, it's basically a group of technologists, entrepreneurs, investors, or enthusiasts who share knowledge and support over a WhatsApp group. We throw several events and initiatives per year, including our immensely popular Thinkubator dinners, startup competitions, and in true INSEAD style, certainly lots and lots of social drinks. For those on the call who are graduating soon and planning to come to the UAE, I would strongly recommend that you pay our alumni fees, join our club. Feel free to reach out to myself or any of the other EXCO committee members. We look forward to having you. To the candidates today, best of luck. Also very excited to see your pitches.
Thanks, Omar. Thanks, Cynthia. Today we'll be also, we are very pleased to welcome Stephanie Hospital, who will present her business and share her journey. Stephanie has founded One Ragtime, which is an innovative venture fund focusing on very early stage startups. She was recently selected as one of the 50 most inspiring women in tech in Europe and as one of the 40 Femmes Forbes, a list paying a tribute to the most influential French women. And finally, because we value diversity and because unfortunately it still needs to be fought for, I'm happy to point out that we have a perfect gender balanced list of guests today, so well done. Now, before we start, a few housekeeping rules. Today we have 7 startups, 1 speaker. It is more than what we usually do, but we really want to fit them all in 1.5 hours. We will start with Go Live, Spark Beehive, Attica, Mapo Tapo, then Stephanie will speak about One Ragtime, and we'll pursue with Spotship, Rewind, and Beyond Tomorrow. Each startup has exactly 5 minutes to pitch and 3 minutes to answer the most pressing questions. You can use the chat to ask your questions. We are very aware it is little time for Q&A, but the startups can either answer the remaining questions through the chat, or if you can be available after the pitches, we will open breakout rooms with each of the startups for a more informal chat and further questions. For practical reasons, you will be randomly allocated to those breakout rooms, but you can always request a change to one of the hosts or to Magali through the chat. Before we start, thanks for muting your mics. Maybe for those who don't present, you can also shut down your camera. Tarek, get ready to start your timer and Go Live. The floor is yours.
Hi, we are Team Go Live. So we'll begin our presentation. Next, please. Meet Hong, who is a university student, age 24. Hong lives in a Koshiwon, which are small rooms with shared bathrooms and kitchen in South Korea. He lives there because of the lower rent, only $350, but more importantly, because of no deposit. The minimum deposit to rent a typical studio starts with from $10,000 to government housing at $75,000. Next slide. But despite being a very common housing option, Koshiwon have poor infrastructure. They're hidden inside commercial buildings. They have no windows, no soundproofing, and are susceptible to fire. But the greatest difficulty for Hong is not knowing how many he lives with or who he lives with. There is a pervading fear of neighbors. Now, Hong moved up alone to Seoul to attend university because Seoul is where education and employment are concentrated, explaining why over 50% of Korea's greater population lives in the greater Seoul area. Like Hong, 1 out of 10 youth live in Koshiwon, and like him are just as likely to have moved to Seoul with limited support network and no savings. So Hong believes that he is working hard and sacrificing for the future. But what if Koshiwon can be safe, visible, dignified, and actually encourage community or support network rather than fear? What if Koshiwon can be a place Hong was proud to live in? So we present our solution, Go Live. Go Live is transportable Koshiwon on top of surface parking lots. It takes advantage of the commercial zoning of parking lots, and it's composed of prefabricated modules that can be trucked on site and later disassembled. So it's composed of 5 container-sized modules with over 40 different configurations to suit multiple parking lots. The only legal limit being the 500 square meter maximum build out. So there are over 11 room configurations with different bathrooms and furniture layouts. Next slide, please. And our communal area has sunlit study spaces and very simply designed rooms with minimum furnishings for flexibility. Our in-house app supports community events, such as getting to know each other, etc., that take place in the internal and external spaces in our community manager. And our community manager is reachable through the app. We also provide services such as laundry and food delivery. Next slide, please. And you can monitor your utility use, such as electricity or gas.
GoLife offers safe, private, and beautifully designed brand housing for youth. Selected community for GoLife tenants is empowered by a community app. With all of this, we only charge $350, one of the lowest prices in the market. In Seoul, there are 5,800 Koshiwons, where 110,000 youth suffering from poor living conditions. There are 680 surface parking lots on which we can build GoLife houses. With underutilized parking lots, we can help 33,000 youths. We will unlock values for all the stakeholders in the value chain. For parking lot landlords, we create additional income. Imagine a 1,000 square meter parking lot in Seoul, which generates 15,000 US dollar monthly income. With GoLife, parking lot landlords can increase their monthly income by 1/3, 5,000 US dollar. For suppliers producing prefab modules, GoLife create new business opportunities. GoLife offers quality life with dignity to our tenants. And also, GoLife will create positive social impact by aligning with the government programs to provide housing for the youth. Seoul government only achieved 25% of its goal to build 80,000 youth housing by 2022. We can help the government to speed up its progress. We generate high ROIC. How? First, lower expenses through revenue sharing model with landlords, which frees us from fixed parking lot leasing cost. Second, lower invested capital thanks to standardized prefab modules that boast fast and simple construction within 1 month.
With initial investment of 300K, we will generate 32% IRR with payback period of 3.5 years. After 30% revenue share with landlords, 20% operating expense, and 8% interest expenses, each project generates 42% pre-tax operating cash flow margin. Yuan is an attractive market with $600 million US annual rental in Seoul alone. Yet, the market is highly fragmented with number one player owning 0.2% market share. There is a market gap. There's not enough low price and high quality housing in the market. We will provide the solution. The story of Hong is a common one throughout metropolitan Asia. Housing scarcity is everywhere. The operational expertise that we will build in Korea will empower us to expand in Asia. Our vision is to provide dignified community housing for the youth.
5 minutes, guys.
Go.
5 minutes, you reached.
Okay,
go ahead.
Thank you. So the questions are welcome.
So you can ask your questions on the chat, everyone. Perhaps I'll start with one question. In your business model, you obviously said no deposit and $350 for the rent. You mentioned the expenses. Usually the deposit is there to cover the expenses and whatever could happen to a flat. How are you going to manage that?
So it's a Koshiwon, which there are over 6,800. They all don't receive deposit. It's embedded in part of the housing culture in Korea. All of the utilities are flat fee, which are included in the $350 rent. But we also manage the community through our manager and our app. Like, we're very involved. So, and we're interested in educating and kind of building this affinity for the community to lower maintenance costs in the long run.
Okay. Just trying to understand the question that was said. 300K will cover how many car parks in terms of investment?
300K covers one Koshiwon development. The maximum build out is 500 square meters, which is approximately around 40 units developed.
40 units, okay. And do
because
you know
each room is very small?
Okay, and do you know, like from an admin point of view, for how long it takes you to get the permit to build that? I mean, to set up that on a parking lot, or is it like by default you can do it without having a permit?
You do need a permit. Permit takes about 3 months. Construction total site assembly takes about 2 weeks, and then before site assembly takes about a month. But we can begin to do construction while we're in the permit process.
Okay, and last question, interesting one. What else could a parking lot owner do with their spaces instead of doing Go Live? Is there like another business model they can have, another business they can do with their parking?
So usually they leave it empty because these landowners, they want the flexibility to develop or sell their land in the future. So in the interim, to cover for taxpayer money, they just rent it out as parking lots. So another business model that we see is putting baseball bats, like baseball practice rings or golfing rings on top. And it's exactly the same commercial zoning as a Kuishiwan, which is housing. But housing is a much more stable rental income, and there's much higher income in the long run.
Okay, thanks. Awesome. Thank you very much. For those who are still interested, of course, there is either the chat and the team can answer directly, or the breakout rooms afterwards. We move to Beehive. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Pierre, and I'm a beekeeper from a beekeeping family. How was your breakfast today? Probably something like that. Now, take out your orange juice, your almond cereal, your milk, your coffee, and the rest of the fruits. This is your breakfast without the bees. The bees are very famous to produce honey, but actually, they are the most important pollinator in the planet, and over 2/3 of the food that we eat is dependent on bees. Unfortunately, the bees are in danger. In 2019, we registered an average record colony losses of 40% in the United States. What is the main reason? It is not pollution, it is not climate change, it is the varroa mite. The varroa mite is a parasite coming from Asia that has spread to Europe, US, and in the rest of the world. Today, the varroa mite is the enemy #1 of a beekeeper. It is currently treated with risky chemicals, and it can reach up to 63% of the beekeeper's cost. Our solution is the next generation Beehive. It kills the varroa with no chemicals, using a scientific process called thermoregulation to reach the temperature of 42 degrees, enough to kill the varroa, but safe for the bees. We have also equipped our smart Beehive with a series of sensors to collect temperature, sound, weight, humidity, and number of bees. The data are collected, sent to the clouds, where they are recorded and processed. Based on the data, we can advise the beekeeper when it is the right time to perform the more important operation, such as when it is the right time to harvest the honey or when the bees are ready to swarm. The beekeepers can now predict and efficiently plan their beekeeping operations. The result, the productivity of the beekeepers goes up to 40%, and their operative costs, they go down up to 50%. And overall, they can generate twice the profit as the current solutions. We are the only player in the market that can combine thermoregulation with data sensor with an affordable price of $4.99, inclusive of 2 years of free data services.
Today, there are approximately 2.3 million beekeepers worldwide, managing 97 million beehives, and this is growing at a rate of 3% per annum. Now, typically beehives are replaced every 10 years, which results in 9.7 million annual sales worth 1.45 billion USD. Our primary market is the EU, which is the second largest honey producing area globally, that has approximately 600,000 beekeepers managing 17.5 million beehives. And the EU is very supportive of these beekeepers, allocating 260 million euros annually to subsidize the beehives. Initially, our products will be sold through a partner network trusted by beekeepers. These partnerships are chosen primarily based on their market presence and willingness to stock smart beehives in exchange for an upfront discount. As smart beehive builds its presence, reputation, and brand loyalty in each market, the split between partner sales and direct sales will increase towards greater direct sales. The smart beehive is being developed in Europe, patented in Europe, US, and China, and will be piloted in Italy, UK, and the Middle East, and will be produced in Poland. There are 3 objectives of the pilot program, namely the testing of the thermoregulation in the operating environment, testing the sensors in the field, and completing the proof of concept. And I'm pleased to advise that now we've closed our first sale of $100,000 subject to that proof of concept.
The business turns cash positive after only 2 years of operation with a very conservative 2% market share. The revenue model is based on Beehive sales and software subscription, which should become 20% of the company's EBITDA in the future. We need to raise $700,000 in 2021 to cover the cost of manufacturing, marketing, and salaries. My co-founders and I have nearly 50 years of combined business experience and a stellar team of advisors, with scientists helping us to develop the product and startup specialists helping us to shape up the business. To conclude, I would like to talk about our goals after year 5. Bees are at the center of a $500 billion crop market because they do something called pollination, without which there are no crops. So how do we manage this very important thing called pollination? Through managing beehives, and much better if you have a smart beehive. So what are we doing? Between now and year 5, we are progressively developing the technology needed to create the most robust pollination system in the world. In year 6, we enter the pollination market and start to make profit from the market. Thanks very much. We're now open for questions.
Thanks, guys. Cool presentation. You can ask your questions, of course. First question. So I'm based in France. I've seen these kind of connected beehives because I've been working in IoT. So my first question is, have you studied the penetration of connected beehives in the markets that you are targeting? Because as you mentioned, comparing the competition, there is competition with connected. Of course, you are your value proposition is different. But what makes the penetration low for now? And why would it be different with your beehive?
Yeah, I can take the question. The difference is because in the current solution, there is basically no really advantage or clear advantage by the beekeeper. So what we are trying to solve now is a real pain, if the most important pain of a beekeeper, get rid of the varroa. And on top of that, we are planning to use the sensor. And that gives us the leverage to go into the second phase of our business plan, which is the pollination.
Okay. And you were saying that the chemical solutions they are using today increases the cost by 65%. Perhaps I didn't see it in your presentation, but using your beehive is gonna bring that cost to how much?
Yeah, we're going to remove or significantly reduce the cost depending on the level of infestation. The cost is not just the mere cost of the chemicals, but it is the application. So what is really relevant for a beekeeper is the amount of manpower that needs to be dedicated to this activity. And with our solution, it becomes automatic. So there is no need anymore to spend every single minute to do that.
Okay. And on average, what would be the profit that would one honey unit bring?
That depends on the type of profit. But on average, we have calculated that in the condition of Europe, which is our target market, a beekeeper using our solution can double the profit.
Starting year 1, you mean?
We complete, let's say, the payment, the payback in 1.8 years. But yes, it's basically starting from year 1, you can get rid of the cost related to varroa.
Okay. One question from the INSEAD crew. Could you describe your initial partnership model when you're gonna kick off your operations? And that would be the last question.
Yeah, Mark?
Yeah, we'll work with an existing distribution network, which is what the beekeepers are used to working with today. So they're the trusted partners, as I made reference to. And what we'll give is an upfront discount to them for storing our beehives.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you for the presentation. You will, of course, get some other questions on the chat and afterwards in the breakout rooms. We move to the next startup, Attica.
Thank you for the first great startup. While Attica is showing its screen, let me give you just one information. I've been asked by the Hoffman Global Institute and the Business and Society Club to tell you about a survey they're doing to provide insight on INSEAD alumni, COVID-19 answers, and what the future of work will be. A team of alumni are working on this initiative. I'm copying that to the chat so that you can have a look at it. So now I'm very happy to introduce the next startup called Attica. You've all been to the restaurant, you all traveling to remote places before. Attica is gonna provide you a wonderful experience of a new kind. So close your eyes and listen to Ramzi presenting you Attica. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Sebastian. Imagine entering a room to travel in time and space and discover different cultures. Tonight, we bring you my home country, Lebanon, in an evening of architecture, music, and dance. We showcase diversity, promote cultural connections, and bring the world to you. Welcome to Attica, the evolution of a restaurant. Before INSEAD, I was working as a chef when I met Emily. She was seeking accessible ways of experiencing cultures. She told me that restaurants, art galleries, and theaters only provide her a partial cultural story. That got me thinking of when I was a kid in Lebanon, and travel was inaccessible due to its cost, time, health, and environmental impacts. Today, people urgently want experiences that are closer to home, safer, and more affordable. To solve this, we created Attica as the evolution of a restaurant at the intersection of culinary, visual, and performing arts to bring the world to Emily through immersive dining experiences. In our rendering, you can see the dome, where the multi-sensory journey is made possible through sound, temperature, projection, and smell control systems. After interviewing 110 guests, we chose to focus on our two early adopters, Emily, the individual experience seeker, and Chan, the corporate team leader. We target each guest through the right marketing channel for them. Unlike restaurants, we focus on corporates who drive our growth 13 times faster through booking Attica for their team. We currently negotiating with MasterCard Experiences and INSEAD Executive Education, who will not only be our first two corporate guests, but will also be marketing channels that help us acquire more corporates. In our prototype, we transport Emily to the Greek island of Crete through the journey of a wedding in 6 acts. Each act, such as Act 5, stimulates her senses and immerses her in a dish with architecture, music, and dance to connect her with Cretan culture. At the end of the experience, Emily takes home a jar of Cretan honey to share with her friends until she invites them to our next season in 3 months, 1950 Havana. Our themes are chosen by Attica frequent travelers. For corporate guests, we also create custom experiences. There's immersive education workshops, custom travel, custom corporate culture experiences, and product launches. Our immersive and adaptable dome is what enables us to deliver all these experiences and double our time utilization compared to a restaurant. We will start by launching dinner, then drinks, lunch, and finally corporates. From the value we create, we capture a price of 200 euros for the dinner. Our cost structure adds more value to guests and make restaurants more sustainable investments. Our operational strategy enables a margin 3 times higher than restaurants when we scale. We're currently testing our prototype through inviting guests to experience Attica in our home in Paris. We serve them food and project the digital content on a wall to begin with. After COVID, guests are demanding more of their restaurant experience. In Q4, we'll launch phase 1 through partnerships with recovering businesses. We create a win-win in us starting asset light and them utilizing their space and keeping more of their staff employed. The top picture is a restaurant where we would project in their space and they cook the food. The bottom picture is Atelier des Lumières, a digital museum in Paris, where we would cook the food and they utilize their technology. In 2022, we create our first dome location in Paris to blueprint our recipe for scale. We're considering this available industrial warehouse as a potential location. 2024, we go on tour like Cirque du Soleil for pop-ups in 12 global cities. The tour will refine our growth plans for phase 4. We plan to scale to 30 locations by 2035 with partners who cover the CapEx in each city and allow us to focus on OpEx. By utilizing our time and space better, we offer our investors an asset that outperforms restaurant investments within its category. We have positive EBITDA year 1, break even on Paris CapEx year 2. And when we scale, our break even becomes 1 year per location. From our suppliers to our guests, our ecosystem of partners enables us to build Attica today and to grow it tomorrow. We form partnerships beyond our first 2 corporate guests. For example, the Greek Cultural Center is co-sponsoring our prototype to promote Greece abroad. We're the right team to make this happen. We're culturally diverse, complementary on skills and personalities, and united on passion. Telly is a filmmaker, musician, and dancer. Together, we hosted people over multiple cultural dinners. Vicky is a sommelier and investment banker. Together, we bonded at INSEAD, working every day on Attica. And I'm a cordon bleu chef who worked in architecture, Michelin-star restaurants, and the world's most immersive restaurant. Please reach out after the session to join us on our mission to promote cultural connections across the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ramzi. Just on time. That was perfect. I can't wait to go have dinner at this place. So let us know a little bit more concretely about Paris. When we'll be able to have a dinner there? So
Paris, you'll be able to experience 3 dinners. If you're a close advisor to us like Sebastien, you might be invited to the early at-home version to give us early feedback and help us improve. In September, you can start experiencing Attica in restaurants or Atelier de Lumière. We're currently looking at their bookings for September or October. And this is a better experience, but it's still not the full one. And in 2022, you'll be able to come to the Attica Dome, which will be the 5 senses experience. So we grow from 2 senses to 3 senses to stimulating all of your 5 senses in the dome.
Thank you. So we're taking questions if they come on the chat. What will be the price range more or less for an experience at Attica?
The full one, the 5 multi-sensory experience at the Dome would be 200 euros for a dinner if you're coming as a B2C client like yourself and friends. At the prototype now, we're at 50 euros. And the phase 1 will be 100 to 150, depends on what restaurant we do Attica in and what is the level of the menu they serve. But that's kind of the range you're looking at.
Okay, great. So Rodolphe is asking about the food on top of the experience and drinks. What's going to make it different?
Well, the food is basically rotational cultural food. Imagine having a restaurant that changes its culture every 3 months. So one time you're having Japanese, one time you're having French. What makes it different is we're not serving you fusion food. We're serving you local Japanese chefs who are expressing themselves in Paris through their local culture. It's them who are cooking, and we have visiting chefs every 3 months, basically.
Okay, and about the experience itself. Yeah. But the experience itself, Daniel is asking for a bit more details. We've seen that you're going to project, you're going to have a dome putting you in the feeling of the place, but yeah. Does it also include dancing or other features?
Yeah, so this is kind of a plan for an evening. A typical evening, you would arrive at 7 p.m. and you'd have a drink, and then Act 1 would start. So you would have some digital content. It's music, architecture, and dance. You see the dancing. And then and then you have some food at the end of Act 1. And then we launch Act 2. It's like the theater in multiple acts. And in some of the later acts, Danielle, yes, you can engage with us in dancing or singing or anything you want. And the experience itself ends at 10, and you can hang around for post-evening drinks. But that's kind of the journey of an evening.
Okay, well, thank you very much for explaining us. From Natalie and the rest of you who still have questions, you'll be able to ask them in the breakout rooms at the end of the session. Now we're moving to another team, the winning team of the last IVC competition. So first of all, congratulations, guys. Love the concept. It's a concept for climbers, for natural lovers. It's an enterprise with a social mission. But I won't say more. Mapo Tapo team, it's for you. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Second. Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alessia, and I'm a rock climber. In 2017, I spent the whole year training for a climbing expedition. And this is what I imagine, me alone in nature. But this is what actually happened, queues to climb. There are hundreds of thousands of climbing spots around the world, but only few of them are thoroughly documented. So unless you know a local, you need to settle for one of the crowded ones. This is not just my problem, but the one of millions of climbers. Yes, you heard me well. There are 25 million rock climbers worldwide and 80 million extreme sport enthusiasts. The problem is getting more relevant as extreme sport become mainstream. For example, in the last 10 years in the US, climbing gym grew from 200 to more than 500. People are hungry to go off the beaten track. Is there anybody yet serving this market? Yes, there is. People like Suleiman. Suleiman is a guide from Jordan, but it doesn't have an online presence, and climbing in Jordan is only documented in a guidebook written in the 80s. So where can climbers like myself meet guides like Suleiman?
On Mapo Tapo, the extreme sport travel platform. Here, climbers like Alessia can browse through hundreds of off-the-beaten-track climbing destinations all over the world. It is a one-stop shop to book your extreme sport holiday, including guided services, accommodation, insurance, equipment, all in one place. So is it just another travel aggregator? Not at all. Mapo Tapo is an ecosystem which is scalable, self-sustaining, and profitable. Scalable since our users are a loyal niche with strong word of mouth and spillover effects into other extreme sports, making it a $50 billion market. It is self-sustaining since it revolves around the flywheel of our social mission, which is reinvesting part of the revenues back into the local community. This way, the travelers feel involved, and each member of our community has an incentive to make Mapo Tapo successful. It is profitable due to our 3 revenue streams of bookings, subscriptions, and advertisements. We have an agile cost structure and a very low acquisition cost since the sport community already exists and is very active.
We plan to validate our business model in one vertical first, which is rock climbing, and then expand to all the other extreme sports, scaling sustainably. We aim at reaching profitability by year 3 and 17 million revenue by year 5. It's a long way to the 70 million revenue summit, but we already reached the base camp. We validated the problem, serving more than 700 extreme sport enthusiasts. We have an active community of more than 2,000 members, and we have a live tech platform. We source more than 30 partners in 8 geographic locations, including a non-profit partner to help track our social impact. We filed for incorporation 2 weeks ago, but most importantly, our first trip is already booked. Sicily in July for 20 climbers.
We're 100% committed, and we have the perfect team to execute our vision. Daniele has built our tech platform entirely from scratch, and he recently left his job at Amazon to work on Mapo Tapo full-time. Alessia's background at McKinsey brings strategy and marketing experience to the team. Anuj has a background in sustainability, and I bring experience in sales, biz dev, and operations at 2 different startups. But most importantly, we're 4 passionate extreme sports lovers. We've created an exceptional team of advisors that span travel, tech, community management, and entrepreneurship. But why now, when COVID is destroying the travel industry? Let's be honest, travel will start again. We spotted this trend of getting away from the crowds before COVID, and we believe it's a trend that will be reinforced when COVID is history. We need to start now to make sure that we have a validated service when volumes are back to normal in 12 to 18 months. Commitment is strong, but how do we know this will work? Because it's happened before. Kalymnos, a 20,000 person Greek island that historically survived off of fishing until a disease hit the area and left them resourceless. An Italian climber realized the opportunity, helped set up climbing routes, and now the island thrives off of tourism with thousands of climbers coming every year. We want to create thousands of Kalymnos all over the world, using extreme sports travel to provide sustainable economic development to remote locations. Extreme sports travel is a $50 billion untapped market and growing fast. We have the right team to capture this opportunity. We've already bootstrapped 40K, we won the IVC, and we can start now and cater to this new normal of travel, away from the crowds, immersed in nature, and practicing your favorite extreme sport. Thank you for your consideration, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Daniele. Thank you, everyone. I understand what you want. It's a very nice pitch. Can you tell us a bit more about your business model and how you plan to grow?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. What did you ask?
Yeah, the question was about your business model and how do you plan to grow in the coming months?
Sure, thank you for your question. We have let's say a plan, an action plan for the next years that will reach to our projection of 70 million revenues in year 5. We are starting now with trips in Italy, in some location in Italy, targeting European customer as a pilot to learn from the customer, get the first reviews and streamline the operation. We have already our first trip next week actually, so we are starting. And then going on, basically our business model relies on 3 revenue streams. So we get revenues from the bookings, we take a commission from the suppliers, which include the guides, the accommodation and the gear provider. And we also will insert soon other 2 revenue streams. One is a subscription model to get updated information and participate in the social mission of creating and developing climbing areas around the world. And the second one is ad-based revenue, targeting our community of climbers that we already started creating.
Okay, and for now you have revenue from first channel, I guess?
Yes, exactly. For this summer, so the first 3 months that we consider a pilot, also given COVID and everything else, we are focusing only on one type of customer, the European customer, with 3 destinations in Italy that we have already. And we will have revenues from the bookings. Then after the test, we will work on partnership for advertisement, and we will launch the subscription part of our model that also will help create our brand awareness in the climbing community. And then our idea is that soon after like in September 2022, we want to expand to surfing and ski touring, and then to all the other extreme sports such as kite surfing, scuba diving, mountain biking, and so on. Since the customer there is already a strong overlap.
Okay. I see no question from the chat, so I'm going to make the second one. I see you rely on partners from different places in the world. You rely on the tech community. How do you plan to industrialize all this in order not to become a nightmare every time you want to open a new location?
So I'll take that question. So basically we already have a strong network of international climbers who have lived in different locations in the world. So we call them our ambassadors. And through these ambassadors, we scout for different guides in different countries. So there's a basic vetting process through the ambassadors, and then we talk one-on-one with the guides about their experience, about their training, about the safety practices they involve, etc., etc. So that's how we vet our guides, and through these network of ambassadors, we expand our locations worldwide. So right now we are already in 8 locations, ranging from Alaska to Thailand to the Middle East, and we are going to rapidly expand into other geographies through this network of ambassadors.
Well, thank you very much. If you need an additional climber to test any new location, I'm in. And congratulations
Have you
for the
planned
win.
your trip for this summer yet? You can get in contact.
We stay in touch. Thank you very much, team, for your presentation.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And now we'll let the floor for the next phase.
Yes, hello.
To you, Yves. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Mapotapo, and all the 4 startups we just have so far. I would like, for the next part of this pitch lab, I'd like to introduce Stephanie. Stephanie Housekeeping she's the founder and the CEO of a brand new venture platform called Ragtime. But I will let the floor to Stephanie first to introduce one Ragtime, and then we turn into a question. So welcome, Stephanie. Your microphone, please. It's on the mute.
Yes. Do you hear me properly? Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe can we just don't know if Magali is online. can you switch on if everyone switch up the screen, then we should have only Stephanie and myself. I don't know if it works on the main screen. So if you everyone stop the video, then we should be able to have on a bigger format. I would expect. Well, can't start working. Anyway, carry on, Stephanie.
So thank you, Yves, for the invitation. I'm delighted to be with all of you, and it was really nice for me to attend to your pitch. I mean, what I can see is that former INSEAD alumni knows how to pitch. So I have I've not deep dive into the project, but at least the pitch is done. So I'm effectively the founder of One Rack Time. So One Rack Time is a venture platform. So we are applying to ourselves what we are asking entrepreneurs to do. We're developing a tech platform and a community to be able to invest in project tech companies with a scalable model. So when I decided to do One Rack Time, I used to be within a large corporation, Orange, and I was spending my life scouting new companies, launching new ventures. And one day I realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I tried to find which idea excited me for the next 20 or 30 years. And I decided that I will be focusing my time on scouting entrepreneurs, on helping them to scale and to have innovative projects. So this is why I launched One Rack Time. So we have 3 years of investment history. Today it's we invest in tech companies, consumer focus or SMB focus. We love when we have end user, but we love also when there's network effect and where there's a possibility for the company to scale, leveraging a large partnership with corporate players or tech internet players. So the B2B2C model is something we're really fond of. And we tend also to invest into projects at very early stage. But what we're looking for at very early stage is to have exceptional funders and sometimes atypical funders. We love the dual profile. You've been an extreme sports or a musician and then you become entrepreneur. So we love this type of profile coming to entrepreneurship. We love when we have a big barrier to entry with the tech platform, because at least, I mean, the business will be scalable and maybe it will be also very complicated to replicate that. So we will also focus on this type of project, and we focus also on project with an international DNA at start. So if you want to develop a nice project in France, but only focusing on France, we're not the right partners for you. And we have today a community of 500 investors. So entrepreneurs who are backed by us have the benefits of being backed by a VC, by a fund. But we also add through our vehicle investors who select how they invest. So this is the originality of our model. We're really disrupting the venture industry with that. We let the opportunity for our investors to select either to invest into the fund or to invest on a deal by deal basis through a dedicated vehicle that we create for the funding of a project. As part of the investment we've done so far, we've done more than 20 investments over the last 3 years. We invest from 700K to few millions. And we have backed company like On-Off, mobile carrier, virtual mobile carrier created by Tigris. We are also behind Make.org, created by Axel Dochers. We are also backing Jelly Smack. It's a social video content company, and now it's a very large company as they are profitable, and the revenues is several dozen of millions of revenues only in 3 years. So we love this type of model where the founders came to us at the beginning, we help them, as we have investors who select which project they want to invest in. Often they're much more involved than typical investors within funds. So we have this network effect thanks also to our community of investors. And this is very powerful to really leverage the power of the collective intelligence of our members, investors, entrepreneurs, and team.
Great. I've heard that one ragtime as a it's quite a new approach. You are able to get in touch with a very young startup and then spend some time with them, like just watch them, see how they goes at the beginning, and then think about an investment maybe a year later, which is quite new as far as I know. I mean, could you elaborate a little bit on this, the way you monitor? Yeah.
Yeah, clearly, as we invest in seed stage, normally we come alongside the business angel. So the typical moment for the investment for us is when a company has 1 or 2 years of background. They start to have already a product and services which is developed. So we do not invest on PowerPoint slide. We invest in real project with real services. And we love to see initial traction with customers. Because you know what you're selling to whom and who is able to pay for what. So this is super important for us. So this is why in that case, often we meet very early the founders, and we love to be surprised by their ability to execute. So this is why we prefer to meet, then follow the project, and maybe 6 months, 8 months after invest. Sometimes we invest right away. But sometimes, I mean, a project is not for us at a given moment. And then we go back, we see the traction, and we invest.
Good. Good to know. If we come back to this Pitch Lab session, and still you as the founder and the CEO of One Ragtime, what for you, what are the main skills for a young entrepreneur, like the 7 startups we have today at this Pitch Lab? What are really the main skills a young entrepreneur should have for you?
Humility. Often we see many entrepreneurs who once they start to have success are losing the sense of reality. So we love to have humble entrepreneurs, but very ambitious, but humble. Resilience also is something really important, because often what you read in the newspaper is that an entrepreneur has succeeded in 2 years they've raised 70 million, the company is skyrocketing, but often, I mean, first of all, this is not happening every day like this. And often the most successful entrepreneurs have had ups and downs, long journey, and they have to be and to show that they are very resilient. And in our portfolio, we have already seen some of our company where the founders started, we invest, we put some money, and then they realize that the traction is not there, and they have to do a pivot, and sometimes you have to restructure. Some entrepreneurs could say, okay, I'm not doing it the right way, I prefer to stop and do another project. But this is the patterns we do not like. We prefer to see very resilient and endurant entrepreneur, ambitious, but we have the capability to go to the ups and downs of the life of an entrepreneur. So it's a long journey. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, I mean, take time and think that the time you will need to start your company and to have it floating would be not 6 months or 1 year, but at least 2 or 3 years. So I mean, I haven't seen many projects able to be really fitted before 3 years. And you can, and if you look at the real date of creation of many business, you will understand that sometimes the entrepreneurs have created a project before, then pivoted, then created a new company to bring the new project in it. But it's often, I mean, it takes time. So be resilient, be patient, be ambitious, stay humble. Very much. I mean, the entrepreneurs today are the star system. So you have a very much this idea that to be successful, you need to be in the newspaper, in the media. Yes, it's important for the communication on your company, but don't do that by selfishness. So we really want to see that. And the last, but super important, is transparency and trust. Whenever we invest, we give the trust and that we have in one person, in one project. So it's super strong. So we want to be respected by that. And I've often heard entrepreneurs forgetting that they have right to their investors, and that the investors have invested, but as they have taken investors, they have the right, the obligation, the duties to give back to their investors their trust, their money, and transparency. So never forget, and especially at the beginning, that your first business angel, the business angel that are surrounding you from the INSEAD Angel Club, are really important. They are the first people who say, yes, I believe in you and I'm going to give you 50K, no matter what is the real state of your business, but I'm trusting you. So the fact that I trust you, I give my credibility, because often the business angels are successful people who have the means to invest. And so this is really important.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. First of all, I share all of this, and it's not so often to hear what you have just said, honestly speaking. And I better understand, because sometimes I hear you to say it takes time to build up a great company, and this is exactly what you explained. And thanks very much for that. To move to another part, which I really want to get your insight, and regarding the when we organized this pitch lab, and Marion, when she did the introduction, she was focusing on the fact that this particular pitch lab were pretty well balanced on the gender side. So I like, and which is the case, and we are pretty proud. I mean, all the pitch lab team are pretty proud of this. How do you see the gender balance evolving in the startup ecosystem today and in the coming years?
Well, I hope it will evolve in the right direction, but for that we need to see more women entrepreneurs. And often when you go for entrepreneurship in the tech ecosystem, it's important that you love the tech, so that you can embrace a tech company. I mean, so this is why maybe in our portfolio we don't have enough women founder and or C-level in companies. So I encourage women, if you want to start a company, embrace the tech ecosystem. I mean, you see a lot of women founders in some areas, but we'd love to have more in deep tech, in health tech, AI. So clearly this is what we have to do. And beyond the woman male diversity, I mean, it's the diversity which matters. Having people from various origin, background, ages is really important also as the great combination for a startup to succeed.
Thanks. Share this as well. Regarding the, I would say this is a typical question for business angel or for venture platform like yours. But during the decision process, when you go through the deal flow and you have all those startups and pitches, and what is the balance between the team on one side, the market, and the project. How do you cope with that? How do you manage? How strong is the team? How strong is the market? How strong is the project?
I think that the most important thing is the team, and everybody says that, but it's super hard to evaluate the team. So if we have a doubt, there's no doubt. So first of all, I mean, mandatory is the team, and then you assess the market and the potential of the startup. There's something also we assess a lot is the sustainability of a project and the equity story. So could we build a nice equity story because we will be investing at the right moment with the right valuation, and that the funders are raising the right amount of money, which will give them traction to go for the next round, and at the end of the day to be acquired by someone, because when you invest, I mean, you want to get your money back at some point. So you need to think about the exit. And we pay a lot of attention to the equity story on the exit, as this is the guarantee for us to be successful. And often you will see funds communicating a lot on the refinancing of their portfolio, and it could be a trap, because if someone enters after you and puts a large amount of money on the company, and you are one of the seed investors, maybe the company would be a fantastic success, but nobody within the investors will get their money back because of the mechanisms of the liquidation preferences. And so this is why, as for us, we do not like the project that are capital intensive. We focus on capital efficient projects. Many entrepreneurs forget that at the end of the day, what matters is how much they have sold their company, or how much they are generating dividends every year, rather than how much they have raised to do their business.
Yeah, thanks for this as well, and very, very helpful, and I share, and Sherry too. It sounds obvious, but it's important to raise it and to say it on a regular basis. And my last question, Stephanie, would be for all those 7 startups. So we have lots of people listening to you very carefully, and could you pass 1 or 2 messages, give 1 or 2 tricks, or 1 or 2 very good advice where you are at the very, very early stage, as they are, and they want to move to this beautiful world of entrepreneurship. So what would be your operational trick, advice you could pass to them today?
Surround you very well, as the first investors, the first customers, the first team member you have are really important. So take time to do it, and you have many VCs who told you I do not invest when it's a solo founders. I mean, again, if you have a very good teammate with whom you want to be married for the next 10 years, you can do it. If not, I mean, it can be complex. So do not misunderstand that. And same for the investors at the beginning. Take the investors who are really bringing you the network and the experience and the smart money. And this is what we focus on with One Ragtime, is that with our network of investors, we have maybe one of the best network today, because we have this combination of super exclusive people with experience, from family offices to entrepreneurs to private equity partners who are believing in us to do their private investment. So it's really, really strong as a network, and we're animating that on a daily basis, as you can see here. And more we will be animating that, because we think it's better to have smart network rather than more money. So also that is important. And last but not least, ask yourself, what services, which product are you going to sell to whom, and for how many? How much is going to be the price of your services, And it's especially now with the crisis and the pandemic side, many of entrepreneurs who have not yet managed to do monetization are really stuck in their project because they thought that they would be developing their product without earning money. So, and that the day the product is nice, it will be the time for them to raise another round. But nobody would have expected what happened to us with the pandemic and the economic crisis. So I can tell you that all those projects who have zero revenues after 2, 3, 4 years of operation are in a very, very tight situation now, as they can't access to any of the loan granted by the states. So what was not so obvious before for many people, entrepreneurs, no, I don't care about my monetization, it's not my topic, I build a fantastic product, and then I will have the customers, is no more the case and the rules now. So start early to have customers.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you for the sharing. I think it was really helpful. If I don't know if anyone wants to get in touch with you, any contact or?
Yeah, of course, Stephanie at oneragtime.com.
Right, that's easy. Stephanie at oneragtime.com. Thank you very much again, Stephanie.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for the invitation. And good luck for all the entrepreneurs for this wonderful life experience that they will be experimenting, creating their own company.
Thank you. Thanks. So Marion, I think it's.
Yes, we're moving now to Spotship. So we're going to explore an unknown market. I think most people don't know much about ship brokerage, so we are excited to hear about it. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
So you've got 5 minutes.
One second.
Yeah, once you start.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much. We are Spotship, the future of shipbroking. But before I take you into the future, I want to take you back 2,000 years into the past, to the ancient Roman port of Ostia. There, a grain merchant is looking to send his wares to London. He employs a trusty shipbroker who runs from pier to pier, trying to find the right vessel. Having successfully concluded his search, the parties sit down in a tavern and negotiate a charter party agreement. The next morning, the grain is loaded and a bill of lading signed. This is ripped in half remaining with the captain. The other half goes to England via fast courier. Only when the two pieces are reunited is the contract complete. You'd be surprised to know that very little has changed between then and now in the shipbroking industry, with email being the only major innovation. The modern process is an ugly, very slow, and very manual one. Let me talk you through it. First thing on Monday morning, the junior broker is hit with a deluge of emails containing data on available ships. He spends the next 3 days typing these into Excel sheets by hand, and then working with a senior broker tries to make sense of it. When the senior broker receives a cargo request, he prints out this position list, which might be as much as a week out of date and is typically poorly formatted and hard to use. He attacks it with a pen and a ruler to try and get a short list of ship owners to call. He spends the next 2 days ringing around because this list is so bad, finally finding a match. A short negotiation ensues, and then the ship is fixed. Now my CTO is going to tell you about what the future looks like. Passing over to TJ.
Thanks, James. We spent the last 6 months bringing this old clunky process into the future with a cloud-based platform. 9 a.m. Monday morning, that same deluge of emails hits the junior broker's desk, where they're then forwarded to the Spotship inbox for processing. Within seconds, the valuable data within is extracted via OCR and stored in our cloud-based SQL database. Across the corridor, a senior broker receives a request for a cargo. He loads up the Spotship interface and finds a ship within seconds. The usual negotiations ensue, and by the end of the morning, a ship is fixed. Compare this to the old, clunky, convoluted problem of the past. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like from the broker's seat. You'll see me receive an email for a cargo request. You'll then see me load up the Spotship graphical user interface and find a matching ship with the desired parameters within seconds. You'll see that we have simplified this process from days to just a matter of minutes. In the fast-paced world of shipbroking, where brokers are often racing each other, our software provides our clients with a crucial competitive advantage. Junior brokers spend hours updating weekly position reports, often with stale data. Our database updates it within seconds in real time. We are adopting a B2B SaaS subscription business model priced at $1,000 per license per year. Our plan to grow the business has 3 distinct phases. In phase 1, which is proceeding to plan, we are finalizing a negotiation with a paying client. The second critical piece of phase 1 is led by me, and I'll be responsible for transitioning the platform management to our in-house tech team. The key takeaway here is that we want to nail it before we scale. In phase 2, kicking off in early 2021, we aim to reach a 25% market penetration through a direct selling team led by Josh, along with James, Henry, and another salesperson we plan to hire. We'll continue driving innovation, building a deal finalizing tool and an AI advisor to give brokers nuanced advice on which ship to choose. Main objective here is sell, sell, sell.
Having become mission critical, we'll substantially raise prices, the heart of our third phase. Our ambition is to become the nexus of global shipping. Achieving meaningful penetration will place us at the heart of the global shipping market, with data up to 3 weeks in advance of all others. Therefore, we fit naturally with selling index data with a timeliness never before seen. We hope to enter the 1.5 billion vessel sale and purchase market, and also the 400 million vessel financing market, amongst others. Beyond the profits, we want to have a positive impact on the world. Using SpotShip's platform will reduce the empty ship runs, improving utilization. This has the potential to reduce the global bulk shipping greenhouse gas emissions by 10%, the equivalent of a quarter of France's total emissions. Financially, we aim to be profitable by year 2. We're currently raising £150,000 at a 1.85 million pre-money valuation. This will enable us to reach substantial recurring monthly revenues. We've put together the perfect team to tackle this problem. Founded by Henry and I last year, Henry with experience running an Amazon logistics hub, as well as in the army and as a shipbroker, and combined with my experience at hedge funds. TJ built his first computer aged 10 and is leading the tech team. We have over 14 years domain expertise on our advisory board. So we've got the team, we've already built the product, and we're targeting a very attractive market. Now we're asking you to come on this journey with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, great pitch. Does anyone has a question? You can write them in the chat. Otherwise, I would like to start by trying to understand. I would like to understand, or do you know, or can you explain why the process has been so little improved so far? Why did it stay the same, except from the introduction of email?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things coming together. So the first one is that the technology actually hasn't been there to really make this process efficient until 2 to 3 years ago. And that was when AI got much better than humans at entering this kind of poorly structured data. So I'm happy to show another time, but position reports come in all shapes and sizes, and ship owners have no interest in making it easy for the brokers. I think you combine this with an industry that is quite hostile to innovation and has no presence in the West Coast of America and no exposure to e-commerce. We're talking about commodity shipping here, which is quite an unsexy sector, so it's being neglected. And you also have the advantage that it's quite hard for startups to attack, because unlike container shipping, which has seen a lot of successful startups, the minimum size you can get involved is one whole bulk ship. And that might be worth as much as $500 million, and it might be carrying more than $1 billion of cargo, with kind of minimums at about 50 to 100 million. So they don't let people just play with this stuff in the same way. So I think because of all those reasons, it's remained, protected until now, and that's why the opportunity is there and so big.
Okay, even though some of those barriers are still there and you will have to face them, like the reluctancy to innovate in a market that is very hostile, as you say, to technology. So how do you plan to overcome that?
Absolutely, Marion. That is a real problem for us. So I think you can probably see Henry on the screen as well. So Henry's worked with shipbrokers and has a network in shipbroking. As well, we have Malta next to me, who's one of our advisors, who's worked in the industry for more than 6 years. Maybe 7 years?
6.5.
6.5 years. So essentially, we are building something that's, instead of coming from the kind of Silicon Valley tech angle, we understand shipbrokers, we talk to shipbrokers, and we've actually, our first step was going out to drinks 3 times a week with junior shipbrokers and asking what they actually want. So that's why we already have a client on the track. And we're also approaching this in a way that's much more collaborative. The kind of gut feel of how you'd approach this industry would be to disintermediate the shipbrokers and make a marketplace like Uber. There've been numerous failures trying to do that from people who don't really understand how important these guys and their relationships are to the market. So I think we've got that different approach as well as the right team to make it happen.
Tarek is asking what's the difference with Flexport? I don't know Flexport, so I'm just asking the question like this.
Yeah, so Flexport is that other market. That's the container shipping, which is exposed to e-commerce, very sexy, growing very fast. But in shipping containers, you only send finished goods with a much higher value, and you can start with just doing one shipping container that costs about 5,000 to ship or 10,000 to buy. So they're completely separate markets, but we would love to be as big as them in our market at some time, and we view them as a potential acquirer if they want to roll out to adjacent markets.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll keep the other questions for the breakout rooms later on. Thanks a lot. We are now moving to our last startup.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Marion.
Welcome. So Rewind, we're completely switching markets. Your floor is yours if you want to start. You've got 5 minutes as well.
Hello, can you see me, hear me?
Yes.
Perfect, and you can see the screen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, hi everyone. Let's kick off with a question. Did you know that on average, each of us throws out a full checked luggage worth of clothes every year? And regardless of how you dispose of your clothes, 87% will end in a landfill or incinerated. That's a garbage truck full of clothes every second. And less than 1% of this waste will be recycled into new apparel. But there's a better option, and people want it. Research shows that 75% of consumers say sustainability is extremely important to them. More importantly, 48% of Generation Z customers are actively switching to sustainable brands, which has created a fast-growing €20 billion market in Europe. We mapped out the industry and found a gap for affordable and sustainable fashion. Fast fashion brands, which control the majority of the market, are not set up to cater to customers' concerns with sustainability. On the other hand, most existing sustainable brands are unaffordable for the average consumer. This is where we come in. Rewind is a closed-loop apparel brand using recycled fabrics to make everyday essentials for men and women, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, denim, and pants. What do we mean by closed-loop? Our recycling partners in Spain start the process by turning industrial fabric waste into new yarn. This yarn is then made into new clothes by one of our apparel manufacturers in Portugal. When a customer purchases a t-shirt at 30 euros, by sending it back to us once it's worn out, they will get a 50% discount on their next purchase. The used t-shirt returns back to the first stage of the loop with the recycling mill. We will be selling directly to consumers through our e-commerce website. It has been designed to inform customers about the environmental savings for each item. We allow a waste-free lifestyle to customers who can feel good about replacing their clothes as often as they please while saving money on replacement purchases.
So, who's going to make this happen? Justin has led strategy and operations for nonprofits in Africa with sustainability at its core. Ankit has managed the commercial expansion and operations of an apparel startup in India. I myself have worked in a marketing agency hand in hand with major fashion brands. We also have 4 advisors with complementary experience in fashion, startup, and sustainability. Now, how are you going to sell it? Our marketing strategy is again a circular model. The difference is it's not a closed loop, but a growing loop. We start off by recruiting our first 100 influencers who will spread the word to our first set of customers. They will then invite their friends through a referral program. Once again, growing our pool of ambassadors. One thing for sure is that we are not just selling clothes. We are selling a sustainable lifestyle and culture. That is why we are actively creating content such as articles and interviews that people can enjoy and share. Now, you might ask, what about H&M or similar brands? What prevents them from doing the same? In fact, H&M has set an ambitious goal to use 100% sustainable materials by 2030, which is 10 years away. And exactly that 10-year time frame shows how difficult it is to change an old model to a new, more sustainable one. To implement a closed-loop model, you really have to reimagine everything, from materials you use to designs and logistics, which we can do as a new company. In addition, as a first brand to provide discounts on repurchases, we can successfully lock in our customers. We expect to be profitable by 2023, 2 years after launch. Within 5 years, we estimate to reach revenue of over 14 million and EBITDA of 2.5 million. We've started our 200K pre-seed funding round by talking with few private investors. We're also preparing crowdfunding that will help us to launch full scale in October in France. We'll steadily increase our product range, geographic coverage, and target segments, including children and maternity wear. By 2030, we aim to be a vertically integrated company with sales over 100 million euros, about 0.5% of the target market. Fashion has to rethink its business model around sustainability. People want to shop in a way that is practical and affordable without wondering how much of what they buy will end up in a landfill. Governments are increasing regulations, funds are allocating money, and the technology is available and improving. Now, with your help, we can make this a reality. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. It was exactly 5 minutes. Well done. Are there any questions? Otherwise, I would like to ask you, you mentioned that you had to rethink the entire process. What part of the value chain was most difficult to optimize or to make sustainable? What were the main hurdles to make it completely circular and sustainable?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you for letting us the opportunity to clarify that. On the first hand, what is very different in our models compared to other ones is the product itself. We are working with products that are easy to recycle. So we're limiting the number of materials we're using. We're limiting the different types of composition of clothing we'll be using as well, and limiting the colors at first. And then slowly we'll grow. When you look at H&M, they offer thousands of different types of products, different types of compositions, and it makes it very difficult to recycle because whatever you put into the recycling machine is what comes out, and they do not know what they're putting inside the recycling machine. Us, by limiting, we know exactly what we will be using and what will come out of the recycling process. The technology exists, and the partners, Recover, for example, in Spain, can do this for us. So that is a key differentiator.
Okay, excellent. In terms of sales, have you considered the subscription models? Or because you mentioned it was sales plus the refund to repurchase the clothing, but you could also imagine something like monthly sending of a t-shirt or.
Yeah, I think I can take that question. We were definitely thinking about the subscription model, but then at the same time, we wanted to give our consumers the freedom of when to change their t-shirts, because we believe our t-shirts are a certain quality that you can wear more than 1-2 years, even more depending on how you treat it. And we don't want consumers to change like every 6 months or so. So we wanted to give them the freedom, and that's why we didn't adopt the subscription model in the end.
Okay, excellent. So it answers one of the questions that was asked, are the pieces lasting longer? So guess you've mentioned it. I wanted also to ask, and I see it's here as well. I think in the Patagonia model, they push for repair. So they have repair services. So as you mentioned, they're not exactly in the same bracket of the market because they're high-end. But have you considered that as well?
Yes, totally. So the repair is a very interesting market, and that it pushes for the increasing utilization of these products. There are certain products that are easy to repair: jeans, coats, stuff like that. And also goes with different style. A lot of the repairable clothes that Patagonia does is that they'll repair with patches, and it kind of built that brand identity. We will be growing into jeans and other stuff, but we are starting with t-shirts, socks, underwear, sweaters, and those are much harder to repair. And if you repair them, it's much more visible. So what we're trying to do is we're tackling the sustainability problem through a different angle, which is pushing the consumer to recycle and keep the materials within the closed loop. But repair is also definitely possible for different types of products.
Yeah. Okay, makes a lot of sense. So someone is mentioning that you could have a look at asphalt.com. I don't know whether you know them.
Yeah. We've ordered t-shirts for them as well to try them out.
Okay, excellent. So thanks for answering the question. We had planned to finish at 2 p.m. It's exactly 2 p.m. So
yeah, but Marion, there's still Beyond Tomorrow coming.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So
yeah.
we're almost on time.
Almost on time. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So Ginny and the team.
Yeah. Okay. If I share my screen.
Yes, please. So you have 5 minutes, Ginny.
Great.
Okay, good. You can go anytime.
Perfect. If I could have 3 wishes, one of them would definitely be seeing my granddad again. He grew up in New York in the 1920s, and he used to show me photos like this one of his mother, Virginia, who I was named after. My granddad passed away 10 years ago, and when I talk about him, I also show a photo. In spite of the fact that 75 years separate us, both of us use old photos to remember people we loved. I went to Harvard and studied history because I've always been fascinated by the lives of everyone who lived before me. When I graduated, I wanted to build better technology for remembering the past. So I taught myself to code and joined Uber as a full-stack software engineer. At INSEAD, I met Alex and Andras. Andras built and sold websites in high school, studied physics, and led product at a San Francisco startup that delivered video highlights to millions. Alex is trained in law and finance and worked in M&A. He also advises numerous startups in Tel Aviv. Together, we founded Beyond Tomorrow. We're updating legacy for the 21st century, starting with video. It is said that each of us dies twice. Once when our heart stops beating, and again when someone says our name for the last time. The second death shouldn't need to happen. The story of who we are and where we come from should be as easy to reach as the latest Netflix special. Each of our lives is a collection of stories, but despite 1.4 trillion smartphone photos taken last year, stories are getting lost. Beyond Tomorrow makes quality family documentaries as easy as snapping that birthday photo.
Digital legacy is a $2.7 billion opportunity in the United States alone. It is positioned within one of the fastest growing tech verticals, age tech. We are entering this space starting with video storytelling. With Beyond Tomorrow, the otherwise complex video production process becomes 3 simple steps. Our technology does the rest. Our product is built on the foundation of storyboards. You can imagine them as coloring books for family documentaries. We give you the lines, you just fill in the spaces. You begin the process by selecting one of the storyboards. And once you've done that, we give you instruction on how to shoot your footage and give you conversational prompts. After that, we show you how to record secondary supporting footage for your video. We notify you when your video is ready, and you get to share it with your family right away or set a later release date. Videos of this quality today cost anywhere between $1,000 and $25,000. We bring down the price to just $25, making Vivid Family Legacy affordable and accessible to millions of families around the world.
The elderly are at the center of our product, but we don't ask them to download apps. Elders' children are our target customers. They want to extend thoughtful gifts and know their loved ones crave connection, not things. Our first step is to pilot 100 video outputs and build our video storyboards. Version 1 of our app will launch in 2021. We plan to generate 3 different revenue streams from one-time users, subscriptions, and partnerships. And we expect to capture 3.1% market share by 2027, at which point we'll be profitable. According to our research, the unit economics of Beyond Tomorrow will be approximately $180 for user lifetime value and $80 of user customer cost of acquisition. This assumed paid growth only and low retention and does not take into account upsides from potential network effects between family members. With $600,000, we can get the business off the ground this year and reach the next funding round after improving product market fit and getting initial traction. Our growth will be aided by the counsel of our all-star advisory board, which includes a Hollywood screenwriter, Emmy Award-winning journalist, and veteran age tech CEO.
My dad always kept a copy of Le Petit Prince on his bookshelf, which has one of my favorite quotes. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Our goal is that your great-grandkids will know a lot about who you are and what you are like, even if they never get the chance to meet you. Our plan is already in motion, and if you want to be part of it, we want to hear from you.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much, Jeannie and the team. So any question before that? I mean, this market is a very big market, as you described, and there are numbers of startups already trying to step into this market. My question is, your approach is a B2C approach, is that right? And how do you plan to, especially with the cost of acquisition, how do you plan to address the market as a first step on the B2C mode?
Alex, you want to take this?
Yeah, sure, I can take this. So basically, our go-to-market strategy is focused on B2C, which is true. But we also want to onboard aggregators of demand because we start with focusing on providing a solution for the elderly, but actually the person that will start using the product will be their children. So we're aiming to reach people between ages of, let's say, 25 to around 50 who have elderly parents, and they kind of look to give them thoughtful gifts with a lot of meaning. So not just, I don't know, perfume or like a bottle of alcohol or something like that, but something that will really stay with them. And we thought about partnering up with elderly care centers with the purpose of making them our agents. So basically, there are several in the US that manage like tens of thousands of units for elderly care. And we want to reach through them to the families and show them that they can have a really amazing experience and bond with their parents, but also leave a legacy. And that's actually our first step in the plan, building these partnerships. So it's true it's B2C, but we also go through organizations as well.
Yeah, you do some partnering as well. If I have a look on the chat, there's a question, why 7 years to reach profitability?
I can take this.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
We'll go to the timeline. So the reason why is that we're going to be prototyping a lot of different features and also giving people use of our features for free at first. Part of our marketing strategy is to distribute a lot of vouchers and other ways that would enable people to use the product for free. So especially when you're a business to consumer product, it's really important to have growth of the platform before you think about profitability and monetizing those users. And our goal is to create as few barriers to entry as possible for potential customers, get them hooked on our product, and then eventually start to add more and more features that people can utilize in their videos and that will allow us to become profitable.
Okay. And my last question is on the tech part. I mean, how do you manage to cut the price? I don't remember, I think you were mentioning $1,000 down to $25 or $50. How do you manage on the tech side to cut the price that much?
Yes, so $1,000 to $25,000 is typically a video crew or a videographer that goes to your house, and you probably know it mostly from wedding videos and or video crews in bigger events. So what we do is take advantage of the fact that people have these smartphones in their pockets all the time, and at first we just make it easy for them to fill in these templates, and then as we have more and more videos and more data on what our users want the most and how they actually use our product, we automate the editing feature. So first of all, we take away the cost of the video crew itself. We give you we do all the pre-production planning and give you advice on lighting and all that, and give you instructions as you go. And then the second part is like automating away the back end of the video production process, meaning editing, coloring, adding sound, and all the rest.
And the same, I've got a chat, and you can see it. Where exactly is the added value to a regular video? Story templates or professional video makers wizard? Can you see the question?
Sure, yeah. So the biggest added value is the narrative itself. So your average 30-second family video or the current solutions that create an automated film with background music on your Google Cloud or iCloud videos lack that narrative. So we give you the know-how on how to create a documentary and how to tease out the information and the stories out of your family members that you want to look at over and over again.
Okay, thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Thank you again. And now we're going to move as the last part of this pitch lab. We're going to move into the breakout rooms. So we're gonna break out in 7 rooms, 7 startups, and then at random. And then at any time we can, for those who want to move from one room to another, they have to go to the main room first and ask to change to another room. So you will see, I don't know if you have the experience already, but you will see it works quite easily to move from one room to another. And before that, I thank everyone very much. Thanks again for your performance, and I see your evolution between the semi-final, the final, and today. And again, it's you're just impressing me. In fact, I mean, when I see how fast it goes and how fast you manage to do all you have achieved for the past, I would say, 2 months. So thanks again, and then we move into the breakout rooms. Thanks, Cynthia.